Hey ladies and gents, welcome back to my eFootball 2024 level up series, and this next one is a cracker. If you're new to the series, this is where I try multiple builds until I find the one that suits the player perfectly. There's no guesswork by looking at stats, it's based on fact by playing different builds over many matches. We're taking a look at the GP version of players from now on in the series, so players that anyone can acquire and build upon. Those who have the enhanced versions of the player can add additional stats to bolster other areas to their game. Today's player is Napoli's Victor Osimhen, one of the deadliest strikers in Europe at this particular moment in time, and I want you to take a look at these 4 different builds that I had and have tried and tested with over 70 matches worth of testing. And I want you to guess which is the build that I'm going to recommend by the end of this video. No cheating. These are the builds and in no particular order. Do you think it is build number 1? Build number 2? Build number 3? Or build number 4? So one of the builds you're currently seeing was better with the hold-up play but wasn't very prolific scoring, just 1 goal every 3 games, and he felt really cumbersome and easy to dispossess. I wanted a goal machine, a predator. I want the Osimhen that we see today in real life, a feared, deadly striker whose instinctive reactions and finishes would make him one of the best in eFootball. I didn't want someone who could just run the channels to provide to my other players. I wanted someone who would make the threatening runs into the box, get on the end of crosses, 1 or 2 touches and bang, it's in the back of the net. And if that's something that interests you, then you have to check out this build. As you can see, I went through 4 different builds like I mentioned until I was really happy with the build I have. I found that balancing his stats with build 1 looked great on paper, but on the pitch he felt slow and cumbersome, lacking in those decisive runs forward, and was too inconsistent with his finishing, which is strange because the finishing across all 4 builds was exactly the same. What I ended up creating was an absolute monster, a nightmare to deal with, who is so responsive, so reactive and alive to any loose balls, and I absolutely love it. He is the ultimate goal scoring predator with this build, and I can't wait to share it with you today. So like I said, I wasn't overly happy with build number 1, so for build number 2 I ended up reducing his speed and putting the points into heading, jumping and physical contact. But whilst his heading hadn't much improved, he still felt cumbersome. But this time he was averaging now a goal every 2.5 games, which still simply wasn't good enough for me. Whilst his heading had improved, he only scored 1 goal with his head from 6 yards and pretty much no goalkeeper, but he did go close a few other times with his head. So then it was time for build number 3. This time I focused on his attacking awareness, so I abandoned his dribbling as it wasn't going to make that, or didn't seem to make that much of a difference anyway, and ended up boosting his acceleration, balance and attacking awareness. He felt better, so much better. He felt more responsive somehow, perhaps because his acceleration stat was then above his speed by 2 points. His runs off the ball were decent and he was getting into the right areas to put the ball away, but now he's just scoring just under 1 goal a game. So I thought to myself, let me experiment one more time before I call it time and say that this is the best build for Osimhen. So I went for a 4th build, abandoning his heading this time and still leaving out the dribbling, but putting those extra points into his dexterity. That's going to boost his attacking awareness, his acceleration, his balance. The difference between 91 attacking awareness and 93 attacking awareness is staggering. I've always known that attacking awareness is probably the most important stat, well, is the most important stat for a goal scorer, or a goal poacher especially, but didn't realise the sacrifice of points to boost it would actually be worth sacrificing points in other areas of his game. Now his off the ball runs are electric. He reacts faster than anyone else. He's one of the fastest strikers out there now, with high balance, physical and now attacking awareness, which makes him a super scary opponent to face when defending. His runs off the ball allows room for other players to sneak in undetected, as the defence are on high alert and more worried about Osimhen. But look how he always stays on side whilst in a really dangerous position as Garnacho cuts in to score. Remember how I lowered his tight possession, ball control and dribbling? Because it didn't really have any impact. Just watch here as he brings the ball down with his chest, takes 2 touches to evade the defence and gets fouled in the process. And then Pogba says thank you very much to Osimhen. When the ball is loose in the box, who is the first to pounce with this build? Yep, you guessed it, Osimhen. Just remember that the first balanced build that I made, which looked great on paper, but actually sucked on the pitch with 1 goal every 3 games. Now he's scoring at a rate of almost 2 goals per game. And I absolutely love this. Just watch. As soon as Pogba picks up the ball, watch Osimhen's run. Look at that. Running the channel in between the 2 defenders, cuts inside, leaves that defender on his butt, and then curls a beautiful effort into the corner. With this build, he doesn't have the best stamina stat, which sits at 76, so he will tire quickly with the amount of runs he'll do during the 90 minutes. But you'll see here, even with no stamina left, he's making incredible runs, pulling away from that defence. The only issue was his long and short-term stamina were depleted, and a shot with his weaker foot meant he dragged his shot wide with this very poor effort. Now, strangely enough, whilst his heading attributes were removed for build number 4, he wins more headers. He's more aware and reacts far quicker, probably due to that high attacking awareness stat. Here you're going to see him win 4 headers with a 50% completion rate, and whilst that's not very accurate, here he is, remember, playing as a lone striker in a 4-5-1 with no attacking midfielders around him. So he doesn't really have anyone to support him as such. Now, whilst he is still yet to score a headed goal, I'm not overly concerned about this, as headers in eFootball 2024 aren't too common unless you have a fox in the box with high heading and attacking awareness skills, in which case you'll need a different player for this. Someone like Player of the Week, Icardi for example, or a target man like Collar. His ball control can be a little bit suspect at times, as you see here, he just runs out of play. These next 2 goals epitomise what build 4 is all about. Just look at this, right? The ball into Pedri, little layoff, and look at that finish. So instinctive, I love that. The way he slides across the floor, gets his left foot to it and slides it into the back of the net. And then here, just when you think he can't control the ball or do tight possession or anything like that, just watch this. Rolls the defender, cuts inside, and then buries one in the bottom corner. So this is the build that you need. It was build number 4. Congratulations to those that guessed correctly. It is with that high attacking awareness of 93, finishing 85, heading is 80. Like I said, abandoned his dribbling and stats. So they're, left alone. It does look pretty bad at 66 tight possession, but we saw just a second ago that he can still roll defenders and he can get away. His speed and acceleration, 88 and 92. Like I said, that acceleration being above his speed is very important. Same for wingers, because if you see my videos in the past, if you want them to feel good on the pitch, that acceleration has to be above the speed. And that just applies to every winger. The only time I recommend the speed being higher than acceleration is for midfielders where you want those longer strides. And this has been in PES for as long as I can remember. I remember Kaká from, I think it was PES 3 or 4, maybe even earlier. He had high speed and his acceleration was lower. I think it was called explosiveness at the time. So his acceleration was lower than his speed, and I recognized that he was taking longer strides. He wasn't a player that I could really get used to until I fathomed out that you got to use him from midfield with longer strides and then strike from distance. And it was at that moment I realized that that's pretty much been the same as it's been throughout all of PES and all of eFootball. So acceleration over speed. Then we've got jumping at 83, physical contact at 81. Those are really important as well, in order to win the ball. That's what we saw him win those, 4 headers in like the space of 2 or 3 minutes. And then obviously his stamina at 76. Now I'm going to show you how to get the most out of this build. His link-up play isn't the best, as you're going to see here. He gives the ball away cheaply. But as soon as Burn gets the ball, he comes alive, staying on side and getting in on goal, far enough ahead to stop any defender getting close to him before he gets the shot off on target. I win 2 headers following this free kick to clear my lines, and who drops back in to help out? Osimhen, of course, with his quick response and reactions. He then plays a lovely ball into Bellingham, who doesn't have to break his stride before Osimhen is off, sprinting into my opponent's half. Now obviously with a low dribbling stat, this means he is not going to be fast sprinting with the ball at his feet, so I have to lay the ball off. If you want someone who can run fast with the ball, then you need Mbappe, and I'm going to share with you my GP Mbappe build in my next video, who I'm currently experimenting with. So to get the most out of this build, don't dribble, don't sprint with the ball, lay the ball off, let the player ID kick in, and he'll make the runs. All you need is someone to find him in the box, and he will do the rest. He is an absolute joy to use and is my ultimate goal scoring predator. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section and hear about your builds. Until next time guys, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.